10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. It is about introduction to SolidWorks. So myself Nijesh Nandan from CAD International, UAE division. So today we will be discussing about SolidWorks, how it helps in mechanical design industry and what all are the features of SolidWorks. So as we have discussed in the last session, we have a process in the mechanical designing. So it is very important to create 3D models and give the details to the manufacturing department in order to proceed with the manufacturing. So today we will be discussing how the 3D models are created and how we can continue with the software SolidWorks. So SolidWorks is a software developed by Dassault Systems. We know we have CATIA also, which is a product of Dassault System. From CATIA, they have applied many useful tools that makes the software more easier and user friendly than CATIA. So let us see what are the features of SolidWorks. So as we discussed, SolidWorks is a powerful CAD and CAE software. So here we can create 3D models, we can make assembly out of it, and it can be any complex design. It can be any complex design like aerofoil shapes, the automotive shapes. So the shapes that are very complicated can also be created using SolidWorks with surface design. Then ultimately making the draft and everything can be very easily done with SolidWorks. SolidWorks also is a very powerful 3D modeling software that is having feature-based modeling, and it is integrated with parametric design. So these are the fields of application, starting from automotive, and it extends its application to consumer products in medical field, in mold and tool and die. Here you can see the CAD software market share. So it is clearly visible that the major share is occupied by SolidWorks. So it is so widely used around the globe. In our session, in the coming section, we will be dealing with these modules that are very essential in SolidWorks, mainly the part design, the surface design, sheet metal, weldments, assembly, and drafting. So let us see what these modules are about. So as we have seen, if part design is considered, part design is a interface in which, or it's a workbench in which we can create any 3D object. All this in this assembly are separate parts. All these are separate parts that can be modeled using part design. Now, if we have any complicated shapes, let us take an example as this shape. So any complicated shape it can be. So these types of complicated shapes can be designed using surface modeling. So it comes under surface design. So these are the tools related with the part design, and then we have surface design with which we can create any complicated shapes. And then we have, interestingly, the sheet metal design. So as we know, in the sheet metal design, the basic operations like cutting, bending, and stamping. So the products that are made with help of these kind of operations can be made using sheet metal design. So you can clearly see what metal design is. Then we have a workspace for weldments in which the structures like these can be created. So SolidWorks have made it so easy that you just have to make the skeleton and then you have to sweep sections like C section, I sections, and you can get the profiles like those basic shapes. If that is not the requirement, if you want user defined shapes, that can be also added to the library of SolidWorks. So this is what can be made by weldments. So all these parts are individual components that are created part by part. All these parts are brought together in assembly. So that is the interface in which we can bring all the objects together, all the different parts together, and we can assemble it here. So when we are assembling it, it is assembled using constraints. Constraints means relations will be given. Here in SolidWorks, they are referred to as mates, so that we can see how the final component will work. So I will just show you a small example when I try to move this crankshaft. So here we can see how the components or how the assembly works. So in this mode, we can analyze where if there is any clashes or if there is any mismatches, so that we can avoid the further complications. If any mismatches or clashes are there, we can immediately go to that particular part and then we can have the appropriate editing there. So this is what assembly is. Ultimately, after making all these things, we can then shift our parts into drafting so that we can make the manufacturing drawings, we can make the views of it, we can dimension it, we can make the section views, and we can create the drafting. So these are the basic modules that we are going to cover in the coming sessions. Now let us start with the software, how the software is used and what are the basic things that we have to take care of while doing the software. Let us first see how the interface is for the SolidWorks. So let us start with the software. If you want to create a new document in SolidWorks, you have an option here. Like every other software, you just have to go with File and take New Document. Just click new. And then here you have three basic classifications. There is part, there is assembly, and then you have drawing. So in part, all the things that we have listed, I will just explain it. I'm selecting part here, then you click on OK. So here you have a fresh window in which you can start creating the 3D model. So here itself, as I mentioned, in part itself, you can have the part design that has the features, and then you have the surface design, then you have the sheet metal and the weldments. All these four comes under the single titled part. So when you take a new file, you have the three basic classification: part, assembly, and drawing. Drawing, it stands for the drafting. So this is the interface that we have. So here, this is called the design tree. As we have here, this is the design tree that we have. This toolbar is called the standard toolbar, and then we have the command manager. Then these are the view toolbar, and we have task pane, and it is in the graphics area that we will be doing the 3D model. Now let us start with the software. Let us see how we can create models in SolidWorks. So in order to create any 3D, suppose you want to create any 3D, for creating any 3D, you will have to make sketches there. So in order to create any 3D model, as I discussed, you have to create 2D sketches first. So it is out of these 2D sketches, you will be creating the 3D models. So you have to be very thorough with sketching. So sketching means how to draw the lines, circles, and creating a close sketch so that it can be used to create 3D models. Let us see how we can make sketches in SolidWorks. So in order to make a sketch, here you have to come here in this tab and click on the sketch so you can see what are the tools that are there in order to create sketches. You have the drawing tools, then you have the modifying tools here, and then you can just make any relations to the sketches. So let us see how we can sketch it. See, for sketching any counter, you have to select a plane. So plane, so it is very mandatory that the sketching can be done on any plane surface. So I'm selecting sketch here. So I'm giving the instruction to the software that I'm going to sketch. So when I click that option, the software tells me to select the plane. So I'm selecting on the front plane. I'm selecting the front plane. So I clicked it here. So here you have three default planes. You have the front plane, you have the top plane, and the right plane. So when you select the front plane, you can just click it here. So it will take you normal to the orientation of the front plane. So here you have the front plane, and then this represents the origin. So this is the origin point, and here you have the horizontal axis, then you have the vertical axis. So in sketching, see, as I told, when you start with sketching, these are the four steps that you have to do. So while making a sketch, you have to draw something with line, circle, rectangle, or anything. Then you have to modify the created sketch. Either you have to copy it or you have to create patterns out of it. And very importantly, you have to give dimensions for whatever things you are drawing. Then we have to give relations. We shall discuss what relations are. So these are the four steps. You have to draw something, you have to modify it, then you have to give dimensions, then you have to give some relations to it so that the figure is fully defined. So let us see how we can start with sketching. So here you have the drawing tools. So if I click on line, if you want to activate line, here you have shortkey for line, that is L. Only for limited tools we have the shortkeys, or either you can come here and click on line. I selected line, then you just select the start point and then you click the end point. So here you have created a line. So you have a line now. So this is what I told you have to draw. First, you have to create sketches. So here, these are the tools that are responsible for creating the contours like this. So then the most important thing is you have to create dimensions for the drawn objects. So let us see how to create dimensions. So here you have something called smart dimensions. As the name, you can take it literally smart dimension. So here, if I select the smart dimension, if you click on this line, it will give you the length of this line. See, as it is smart dimension, it will give you all the possible solution. It will give you the original length of the line. If you move the mouse pointer according to the movement of the mouse or the position of the mouse, you can get the vertical distance like this or the horizontal distance. So whatever measurement is needed for you, you can make it. So here I'm just placing it here like this. I have the original distance and I can give the dimension. So here, suppose the length of the line is 100. Just clicking 100, you go with enter. Now you have made a line that is having a length of 100. So this is what the dimensions are. Now we discussed about relations, how we can give relations. So when I select any object that is created, suppose I'm selecting this line. When I select this line, here in the property box to the left, we discussed that this is the design tree. When I select any object that is created, when you select it, here you can see there are many relations. So here you can have the add relations option. And in this software will list you what are the possible relations that can be added. So when we discuss about relations, so these are the possible relations that we have: horizontal, vertical, coincidence, concentric, tangent. So this can be referred as the geometric constraints. So whatever the object we have selected, software will suggest you what are the possible relations that can be added. So you can just give the possible constraints to the selected objects. So let us see how we can give relation to any selected object. If I am selecting this object, I am clicking it here. Then I can come here and give relation. Suppose you want to make this line as horizontal. You can click horizontal here. So here you have the line that is horizontal. Now you have added a relation. So it will be always horizontal. All right. So this is the basic procedure of sketching. So let us create one more contour. I'm deleting this. Suppose I'm creating a circle now. If I mention a circle here, if I create a circle here, you have to dimension it. So you can depend on the same tool that is smart dimension. You have click on dimension and then select the circle. When you select the circle, then it will give you the diameter. Just note, earlier when I selected the line, it gave me the length of the line. When you selected circle, it gives you the diameter of circle. That is why it is called as smart dimension. So now I'm giving the diameter of circle as 60. So here you have a circle, but as I told, when you create sketches, you have to make sketches so that it is fully defined. So fully defined sketches can be created by giving proper dimension and proper relations. Now this circle is free to move anywhere. As we have mentioned the diameter of the circle as 60, the diameter of the circle won't change, but the position of the circle will be changing in this environment. So let us see how we can constrain the position of the circle. So for constraining the position, you have to again come with smart dimension. So from the origin, you have to define the position of the circle. So I am selecting smart dimension and then I'm selecting two entities. Earlier we just selected one entity, either the line or the circle. Here I'm selecting two entities, that are the 2 points here. So from the origin to the center point of the circle, then you can mark the dimension. So let me mark the horizontal distance and I'm marking it as 50. If you want to change it, if you want to change the dimension, you have to double click on the dimension and then you can change it. Let me make it 75. So this is how you can change the dimension. Now, as I have given the dimension here, so if you select this point, now the horizontal distance is constrained, but it can move vertically. So this is only the possible movement that this particular circle is having right now. So you have to make this movement also restricted in order to make it fully defined or fully constrained. So for that, we can again depend on smart dimension and select this point, and then you can mark the vertical height and give this height also as 75. So you can see the color change now. When this figure is fully defined or fully constrained, it turns into black color. But when you draw any sketch for the first time, it will be in blue in color. So this is how we can constrain the drawing. So if the sketch is fully defined or fully constrained, it will be black in color. So it is very important to make your sketches fully defined. Just deleting this. Now let us take an exercise so that the sketching can be discussed more easily. So let us see how we can create this figure. So as you can see that this is made only with help of lines. So it is made with help of lines only, and then it has a shape in such a way that it is symmetric about the center axis. So it is symmetric and it can be divided into proper two halves. So these are the dimensions given. Let us see how we can create this. So the length here is 120. Then here we have 20 as a distance. Then we have 30, and this 25, 5, and 90 is the angle between this two lines. So let us see how we can create this figure. So starting with the drawing, it is always better to start from the origin. Why? Because earlier we saw we had to depend on three dimensions when we created the circle. We had to give the diameter, the horizontal and vertical distance. But here, if you create the same circle at the center, just see you have to define only the diameter of the circle. So the diameter was 60, right? So here the circle is fully defined. You don't have to give the horizontal or vertical distance. So if you create any figure, the dimension or the position of the object that you create is always considered from the origin point. So let us start with the exercise that we have. So I'm just making only the half of the contour. So the exercise that we saw, it looks like this. So when we are creating line, when the line is horizontal or vertical, it will give you a snap. So you can just see near the pencil that you have as the cursor point, you can see a line inside a yellow box. So it clearly suggests that your line is either horizontal or vertical. So you can create a contour in that particular shape. So here I have created the shape like that, and then as it is symmetrical, I'm here drawing a center line. So starting from this origin, I am drawing a center line. And now if you want to give the dimension, you can depend on smart dimension. You can just select this. As this distance was 120, you have to give only the half of this. So 120 divided by 2. So this feature is also provided in SolidWorks. You can depend on any of the operators. 120 by 2. And this distance is 20. And this line, the distance was 30. And here you have a length of 25, and then you have a distance of 5 here. So this is how you can keep on dimensioning. If you want to create a dimension of angle, so here as I told, it is smart dimension, so you have to just click the objects accordingly. So here you want angle between these two lines, so you just select this line and this line. Accordingly you will be getting the angle between those two lines, and then you can specify the angle. This is 45. So you can see here that the drawing that you have made is fully defined. So it is fully defined. Now next step will be to make the other half of the selected drawing. So you have to make the other half. Here, these are the tools responsible for modifying the created sketch. So if you want to modify the sketch, you have to depend on these tools. So here I'm depending on the mirror entities. So here I have tool to mirror the created objects. So I'm selecting mirror entities, and then in the property box just selected entities to mirror is this. Either you can select it like this, or you can depend on the box selection, so that all these lines are selected, and you have to mirror about this center line, and you have to make sure that this copy option is turned on so that you can get the reference and the mirrored object. Or else if you untick this, only the mirrored image will be visible, the main source will be deleted if this option is not activated. So you activate it and then you go with OK. So you can see that the figure is created according to the dimension, and now this importantly the sketch is fully constrained. So coming here with the view toolbar, here you can see that you have options for hide or show items. If you drop down this, you can have this dimensions. See, view sketch dimensions, you can click this in order to hide. So now all the sketch dimensions and relations are hidden. So when we were creating drawings, already the sketch relations. So here you have option for view sketch relations. If you activate that, these are the relations. So these relations were not turned on. So it is better to turn off the relation. Okay. And now whenever needed, you can turn the dimensions also as off. So this is how we can create sketches. Now let us see one more example with which we can just make use of some other tools. So let us take this for example. Here we have a contour like this. You have a closed entity inside it, and the distance is given. So here you have two circles here. So one is of radius 14, and let this be radius 7. So this is radius 14, and I'm taking the half of it, radius 7, and the distance between the two is given as 104 and 94. And the outer circle, you can see the outer circle here as 43. So let us take that for example. Let us try to create this contour first. So we are just considering the outer portion first. So we are not going to consider inner portion first. So whatever figure you are creating, you have to consider it step by step. So here we are first focusing on the outer contour. So with the radius of 43, you have the bigger circle, and then you have to make the smaller circles here, and here you have a fillet of radius 12. So in order to take a new drawing, you have to come with file and go with new, and then it's part. And importantly, whenever you're creating a drawing, as default it will be in mmgs itself. So from here you can just drop down this and select whatever units is required for you to work with. So here we have activated mmgs, millimeter gram seconds. So if you want to work with centimeters, you can select it accordingly. So just make sure you're working with proper units. So let us see how to create the second exercise. So as we discussed, in order to make a sketch, you have to come here and click on the sketch, and then we have to select which plane on which we are going to sketch. So you select the plane, and it will give you the view normal to the user. Now let us start creating the sketch. So we have a circle here with the dimension as 43 into 2. So 43 was the radius given. So I went with 43 into 2, and now we have drawing two circles here, this, and then I'm giving the dimension for this circle, and the diameter I'm giving it as 14 into 2, and this one I'm giving it as 7 into 2. And now in order to make it fully constrained, I have to mention the distance. So from the center to this, the vertical distance was given the exercise as 104 by 2, as we are drawing only the half. And now the horizontal distance, I'm making it as 94 by 2. So you can see here it is fully defined. And now let me hide these sketch dimensions so that I can create sketches more easily. So I'm taking the center line and then just making a center line this like this so that I can mirror the objects. So you take mirror entities and select the entities to mirror. I'm selecting these two entities. So I will just do one more thing. So before mirroring it, you can draw the lines and the fillet here. So let me draw a line from the quadrant. From this point, I'm just making line up to the point here. Sorry. If some errors are occurred, you can just depend on control Z, the undo process. So I'm taking the line from the quadrant to this point, and then you have a fillet here. So for making the fillet, you can depend on the option here, fillet sketch fillet, or you can create a circle and then you can dimension it. So this radius was 12, so I'm depending on 12 into 2, and then you have to give relation. Let us see how to give relations now. If you want to make this two circles tangent, you have to select these objects first and then you have to add relations here. So according to the object selected, software will suggest you what relations to give. So you can give this as tangent, you go with OK, and then select this and this, you go tangent again. Select this object and this object, so you have tangent. So this is fully defined. Now if you don't want any portions here, if you want to trim any portions, you can depend on trim entities. You can simply make the cut here. Just you have to drag it with your mouse. So when you click on trim entities, you have many options here. So as of now, you can depend on power trim, activate power trim, and then you have to just click your mouse and drag it so that you can cut whatever entity you want to remove. And now if you don't want this portion also, you can just trim this side. Now I will be mirroring this side, so just hide all the sketch dimensions. Now you take mirror entities and select the entities to mirror, so you can depend on the box selection. And now mirror about this center line, so you have the objects mirrored. Again, I'm selecting mirror entities and then I'm selecting these two objects, so you can simply append to the selection, then mirror about the center line. So you have the complete figure created. Now we will be going with trim entities and trimming this side. So you have the outer contour created. So you can clearly see here that the outer contour is created. Now let us focus on the parts inside. So here you have a circle, a small circle of radius 16, and then you have a circle here of radius 7, and then the distance between two lines is 8. And this circle is on a reference circle of 62. So you have a circle of 16 as radius, you have a small circle of 7 that is placed on a circle having diameter of 62. Let us make this part now. So for that, we have to again select circle. So you have a circle here, you have two circles actually, and you have a circle on top of the circle. So you can select dimension. So here this dimension will be 16 into 2. And this circle is having a diameter of 62 as mentioned. 62 is the diameter of the circle, and this circle is having a radius of 7, so this will be 7 into 2, that is 14. So this is what we have with us. Now here this circle is just for reference, so you don't need this circle as a solid entity. So you just select it and you can come with the property box, and here you can just make this selected object for construction so that it will change into a reference object. So here you have something like this, and now here you have a line created, and then they have told that you have a distance between them as 8. So I will be dimensioning this as I'm just trimming this object. You have to trim this and this. Then I'm giving dimension from this to the center line. It is 4, 8 by 2. And then you can depend on mirror, select the object to mirror, then select the center line. So here you have the object created. Now you can trim this side. Now let us see how we can make pattern of these objects. As you have in the exercise, you have 6 of them created. So here we have created only one, you want 6 of them. So here you have to depend on the patterning. So let us see how we can make pattern of a selected objects. So here in the modifying tool itself, you have options for pattern, linear sketch pattern, and you have circular sketch pattern. So here linear sketch pattern means arranging an object, selected objects in rows and columns and a particular distance. Here in circular sketch patterns, you will be arranging the selected object in a circular manner. So here I'm selecting the circular sketch pattern and coming here, click here in entities to pattern, then select what all are the entities that you're going to pattern. So I have selected all the objects here. Then you can give how many number of items are needed. So I have given 6 of them, then go with OK. Here you have the pattern created, but here it is not fully constrained. So here when we create the pattern, here software is not able to detect the proper constraint. So trick for making it constrained is you can find the center point, just click on it and try to drag that point. You select the center point and just try with dragging the point. So if you drag that point, the software will automatically detect the constraint that has to be applied here. So now you can trim the unwanted portion. I'm just trimming this. So you can come here with the view toolbar and you can hide the dimension so that you can see how the contour is finally created. So this is the manner in which we can sketch any entity. So sketching is the primary step that is needed in order to make the 3D models. So as we discussed, while making a sketch, you have to draw something, you have to modify it, give the dimensions and relations in order to make the created sketch fully defined. So it is with this sketch we will be continuing with the 3D model. With help of these sketches, we will be creating the further 3D models. So that was for today's session. Hope it was informative for you. So our sessions with the mechanical design will be on Wednesdays every week. So hope to join you in the coming week. Stay tuned. Thank you and have a nice day.